I'm going to have to ask the question. And if the answer's no, then the penalty's death. I may very well have to put a bullet in the back of my dad's head. Their views are this. They believe that society is going to collapse on its own or from man-made events, and they want to speed up the collapse of society. And they want to do it through guerrilla warfare tactics. We take out a power grid. We take out a water system by poisoning it. At that point, I'd gained enough trust to be brought in to the murder plot. You're talking about going and buying catch bags that attach to your AR so it catches the brass so you don't leave it. We're going to leave all of our electronics at a campsite. We're going to go to a pay-by-the-hour motel. We're going to scrub ourselves, make sure there's no dead skin that can come off. When I went back to the office to run the FBI's training, I told everybody, the 19-year-old led carbine training, and it was good. They could get the drop on a lot of average Joes.
So I guess I hadn't heard of this group or even groups like this prior to hearing you talk about it.
A lot of people have. A lot of law enforcement has it.
I bet, man. And it's pretty shocking stuff that we'll be talking about. But I guess similar to the Outlaws, just explain to people kind of what this group's ideology is and then how you ended up getting into it.
Sure. So the accelerationist white supremacy view goes like this. Number one, they hate the government. So don't think Republican, Democrat, right, left. That's not it. They hate the government. They want a Hitler's Germany. That's what they want, which is what a neo-Nazi usually wants anyway. But with accelerationists, they go about it by different means. An accelerationist is their views are this. They don't believe there's a political solution that can save the white race. They believe that society is going to collapse on its own or from man-made events, and they want to accelerate. They want to speed up the collapse of society because in their mind, when the collapse of society happens, then they can come in, clean house, and have their own ethno-state. That may not necessarily mean the entire United States, but I can tell you that when I was in the base, my cell, C-E-L-L, was looking at property. My cell and the Maryland cell were looking at property in the Appalachian Mountains. There was a northwest, midwest, Detroit, out of Detroit area in Michigan. They were looking at property in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The Pacific Northwest, they already had property. The leader of the base had property in the Pacific Northwest. So that kind of compound idea, we run our own thing, we are our own doctors and everything. Again, not a lot of afterthought on some of that stuff, but that's the idea. And they want to do it through like guerrilla warfare tactics. You're not going to see an accelerationist out on the street in a hood and a robe or walking down the street with signs, protesting and yelling racial slurs. They don't want to do that. They believe, number one, that makes them a mark, lets everybody know who they are, and it does no good. What they believe is, let's do guerrilla warfare tactics. Let's do small attacks like we take out a power plant or power grid. We take out a water system by poisoning it. You kill lefties. You kill anti-fascists. You kill non-whites. Burn their businesses, stuff like that, slash their tires. Anything to create chaos, to start the downfall of society. So a lot of times when I'm teaching, I say, like, remember that year when everything was being burnt and towns were being, they're sitting up on a hill and they're laughing. They're like, man, we hope the cops start shooting these people start shooting the cops, when we can come in and clean up afterwards. And that is one of the plots we uncovered in that case, something very similar. They were going to start popping rounds at a Second Amendment gun rally protest that was going to be in January of 2021 in Virginia.
All right, first and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rukaha, Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. Shalom to the hopeful elect, preaching His word in true sincerity. To you ribs, to you sisters out there, learning in silence and staying in order, I say to you all, Shalom. Now, this is allegedly an undercover agent, right, for the government, right, the FBI, and supposedly how he stopped the plot, from civilians trying to, start a civil war here in Babylon. And we already knew, what I'm saying, that this was a thing. Right? There was a legend that the Small Hatters, like, I think it was, I forgot his name, be honest with you. One of these Small Hatters up there who's an investor, was putting bricks in the streets so that the protesters could use them to break things. And a lot of people were suspicious about that. Just like the guns mysteriously ending up in Southside Chicago. Right, there was alleged that there'll be crates of guns being dropped off in the hood. Now we know why. Right, that's how they get, Jake out of there or out of a neighborhood. At one point, you always gotta follow the money, right? Because the Small Hatters were always involved in mobster activities, right? All the Italians, all the mob, with the liquor and everything like that. There was always a Small Hatter behind all of that. And one of the cities that they had was Chicago, right? New York, another one, right? These are top small hat mobster like metropolises, right? So when it comes to like, street violence and, illegal, black market stuff, and, Chicago, Detroit, New York, all these large areas have always been ran and controlled by the Small Hatters. Small Hatters control the whole U.S., but the major operations that we see, obvious ones, when it comes to violence and, let's say, accelerated assistance for chaos, we see it in Chicago, New York, Detroit, places like that. Right, there's a lot going on, man. So the point is that the government is purposely putting these sleeper cells, right? Because the FBI is saying that they're trying to stop these things, but really the FBI is ran by the Small Hatters, right? They're monitoring these people, right? And they're gonna get the job done. They don't waste chaos, right? Chaos, order out of chaos is their motto, right? And when Biden was bringing in all of those immigrants, right, just for Trump to get rid of them and cause a division, also, right? So it's like they're using everything, man, to their advantage, right? They'll bring people here to create chaos, collapse it, and then they'll bring a president in to act like he's cleaning it up and pass laws so that they can do nefarious things to civilians, right? But eventually the Lord's going to put the spirit on the people, right? The people who actually live in Babylon and actually want Babylon to thrive, which it will not thrive. Those people that want America to thrive, they're going to fight back. And the scriptures talk about how, they're going to be successful. 2 Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition of men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power, right? So whatever, plan they try to execute, they will definitely conquer and win. Right? And that's gonna snowball into, lockdowns and martial laws, right, which we already know are in place, right? These laws are ready to be used. Listen, I always say this, but the Obama got rid of the common posse comitatus, I think it's called, which is the law that protected the civilians from police acquiring military grade weapons and vehicles, which they did away with that, knowing that there's gonna be times where there's gonna be chaos on the street, and they're gonna have to, have military style vehicles for whatever reason, right? But they're gonna lock down cities. They're gonna use the military. They're gonna make it hard for you to leave, right? Verse 17: and man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able, right? And a lot of times people are blinded because they're all pro America. America's the best, the land of the free, and they're all gonna be confounded at the end. They're gonna be made liars. See, verse 18: for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? That level of comfortedness that you have in your home, that you think this place is gonna run forever, it's gonna be gone. They say that the the crayfish that falls asleep gets taken away by the stream, right? Because you're comfortable. Verse 19: a man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulations. Right? You got groups of people out here that's ready to kick it off and create chaos. Those same people are gonna end up needing food, and they're gonna continue that chaos by any means. Right? Esau's coming heavy with a sword. He knows what he got but a short time. Right? That goes from the top all the way to the bottom. Right? His spirit's gonna tell him to rise up and kill. That's what he was here for, man. No, but I ain't gonna drag this out too much, man. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Bakai HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. Shalom to those for elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. To you, babes, and to you sisters out there learning in silence and staying in order, I say to you all, Shalom.